What is up, my friends? As it is the international break, I thought that I would take some time to make a video giving you my final thoughts on Liverpool's summer transfer window. As we know, all the incomings and outgoings are now finished until January, so I'm going to spend the next few minutes going over every deal, giving you my thoughts on them, and then concluding by asking the question, have we done everything we need to do to make sure we're in as good a position as possible to win as many trophies as we can this season? Do feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section as we go through each and every position. Of course, let me know where you think, if there's any positions we are still a little bit light. So let's start off with the incomings, as I've mentioned, because that's more fun, isn't it? Jeremy Frimpong, just under £30 million, was one of the first names through the door, and a fantastic bit of business from the Reds. Obviously, with us losing Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I'll move on to talk about that fee in a while, it gave Liverpool a big hole to fill in our defence, and Conor Bradley getting a new deal was a good underscoring of his, place in the squad and how important he is. But Frimpong gives us something a little bit extra as well. So at 30 million quid, as we knew the release clause was in there, that's a pretty good piece of business. Now, one of the wildcard transfers that we probably won't know whether it was a success or not for a few years yet was Armin Petry, who came in from Puskas Academica for about £1.5 million. Basically the young goalkeeper who will make his way through over the years. Look, the footage from this kid looks absolutely fantastic, and nothing wrong with stacking the goalkeeper department for the future as well. We'll move on to Georgi Mamardashvili in a minute, but young Armin Petry can't be forgotten about with this summer's business. Then, of course, we start to move into the big headline grabbers, the Florian Wirtz of this world. I'd seen some saltiness yet again from Bayern Munich's CEO talking about the prices that Premier League clubs were paying. It's because they're able to pay them. Bayern feel a little bit salty about missing out on Wirtz and Nick Voltmade, and the CEO was talking about some of the prices. Look, we paid a lot for Florian Wirtz, £116 million, if all the add-ons are reached, which will be a British transfer record. But I've no doubts in my mind that we've brought in an absolutely fantastic player who, yes, is taking his time to develop into the league, but that's not uncommon, and people need to give him a little bit of a breather. So for me, that was the signing of the summer that really signalled FSG's intent to back Arne Slot with as many players as, they possibly can. And on that, I suppose it would be unfair of me not to talk about our owners here for a moment, because the business that they've been able to do this summer is quite simply sensational. It won't be a big secret to let many people know that for many years I questioned whether they really wanted to win at Liverpool and the way they were going about it. If the master plan was to build the infrastructure and it was to build up the ability for Liverpool to generate and spend more money and then pounce when the time was right, then fair play. I do still have a bit of a gripe though, and it's a small one, but I think that they could have avoided situations with the likes of me and others who were unhappy with their spending by simply explaining what the thought process was here. So that's one thing I would say to FSG or anybody who was in the club. Maybe communicate these things a little bit better to stop people like me getting uppity about a lack of transfer spending. Because I'm aware it's not a great look for a fan base if people are divisive and people talk out about certain things that maybe there is a grand plan, but of course we didn't know it, and all I ever wanted to see from the owners was an ambition to make Liverpool as successful as possible. I've always said I didn't want Liverpool to just throw good money after bad. That is a dangerous game, but it did irk me for a little while that we knew that we had somebody like Michael Edwards or Julian Ward before that who were very, very good at what they do. We also had managers in Jurgen and now Arne who were also really good at what they do. So it was very confusing to me and many Liverpool fans as to why we weren't backing these managers as much as we could have at certain points. All of that being said, I am a man of my word, and I've always said that if these owners do step up, you won't be seeing any more of the where's the money John and stuff from me. And to be fair, all summer I haven't really been doing that. So on the ownership, well done to everybody concerned. It is a summer that I think underlines our credentials as Premier League champions and does set out a great future for the club. So I just wanted to take a minute out of the video to say thank you for that, because sincerely as a fan, that's all I ever wanted. Now we move back to the transfers. So Milos Kerkez, £40 million from Bournemouth. And if we're being honest, this was one position last year, left back spot, that many of us wanted an upgrade in. We have Costas, of course, who's moved on to Roma on loan, and we'll talk about that. But we still have Andy Robertson. And I think Robbo is playing for his Liverpool career this year. He is now our second captain or the vice captain. But the signing of Milos Kerkez, to me, was a great statement of us being able to go out there, find the best in the league, and in my opinion, he is. He's not the finished product. He does still have some work to do, Kerkez, but I think many of us would have pinpointed him as the one we wanted Liverpool to go after. So for Richard Hughes to be able to go and get that done, fair play. Then we move on to Freddie Woodman, who is still, let's be honest, was just an Adrian replacement. He is homegrown. We got him on a free from Preston, so not really too much to talk about there. Moving on, though, to the signing that I feel has probably gone under the radar a lot this summer, and that is, of course, Ugo Ekitike. We brought him in for just under 70 million pound, and not much really has been spoken about it because we were all focused on Isak and Wirtz. But this man has come into the club, hit the ground running, and I think certainly made people like me sit up and go, oh, hello, we really do have a top operator there. So the fee from the outside maybe looked a little bit hefty, but I think over the course of his career, this is going to be a bargain. Dare I say it, maybe the biggest bargain of the summer business that we've done. Let me know if you agree or disagree on that. But for me, I just think that one's gone under the radar a little bit. Moving on now to another unknown for me, and that is Giovanni Leone. Comes with a big reputation from over in Italy. We know that there were 3, 4 or 5 Italian clubs trying to sign him up. Inter at the forefront of that queue. But Liverpool came in, put in a lesser offer, we believe, than Newcastle. But the vision for Leone was come in, develop here, work with your idol, Virgil van Dijk, and become a mainstay. And if this works out, again, we'll talk about this £26 million fee for years to come because it could seem an absolute bargain. Next up was young Will Wright, who came in from Salford. This was a really interesting one. If you remember, it felt like for probably 3 or 4 days that Liverpool had actually lost out here. It was thought that Will Wright was coming to Liverpool all the way through. Then Arsenal came in right at the end. They offered more money and everybody just thought, well, they've offered more money, he's going to go there. But no, he wanted to come to Liverpool. Liverpool didn't give up on the deal. And again, at 200 grand, if he makes any first team appearances whatsoever, that's going to be another good piece of business for the club. And the final big signing of this summer's transfer window was, of course, Alexander Isak. And that is the one that none of us can really talk too much about yet because we haven't seen him on the pitch. But is he worth £125 million? This is the question that I've been struggling with because I'm tempted to say no because I don't think he's done enough to prove he's a £125 million striker. But the key question is, was he the best striker that Liverpool could go for in this window that was achievable? And the answer to that is yes. So we had to pay what we had to pay. And I'm very happy as a fan that he's in. So for me, the incomings of Frimpong, Pesci, Wirtz, Kerkez, Woodman, Ekitike, Leone, Will Wright and Alexander Isak are fantastic pieces of business that don't really have me up in arms whatsoever. I think every single one of those was a great signing and I've got no complaints about them. We'll move on to squad depth in a minute, but before we do, let's talk about some of the outgoings, and these are the ones really that generated Liverpool fees. So Trent went for about 8.3, 8.4 million or 10 million euro to Real Madrid, which was better than losing them for nothing. To get that much money with a month to go, look, I don't think any of us could be unhappy about that. Did it soften the blow of the way he left? No, not for me. And again, I'm not trying to tell you how to feel, but for me, no, it didn't. But it was still good for the club to bring in a few quid. Nothing wrong with that. Caoimhín Kelleher. This one feels a bit light to me, if I'm being honest. 12.5 million quid up front to Brentford. I think he was worth more than that. I think you could have stuck another 10 million on that and still been a bargain. So for me, this is probably the one sale that I think Liverpool could have done a little bit better on. But do let me know what you guys think in the comments. Next up, Nat Phillips was 3 million to West Brom. Jarell Quansah, 35 million to Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know where to go with this one because I actually feel like they paid too much money. And I don't think Liverpool will exercise that buyback option that's in his deal, rumoured to be about 60 million euro, which is about 52 million pound. It's hard to judge at this point because, of course, Ten Hag's been sacked as Leverkusen boss already, so we'll get to see him develop under a proper coach at some point. So that one, I'm going to say, good money for Liverpool. Don't expect us to trigger the buyback clause unless something drastic happens. But again, love to know your thoughts. Next up was Luis Diaz. And this is probably the most divisive sale Liverpool have made this summer. It was good money, in my opinion, that the Reds got from Bayern Munich. But I absolutely understand people that thought we were taking out a very good player who contributes a fair amount of goals and assists and gave us something a bit different. So that was the one for me. I understood it because of the players we were going after, but it was still one that was a difficult one to acknowledge because as fans we didn't know why Liverpool didn't want to give Luis Diaz an improved contract, or certainly a contract that he feels he should have deserved. That question, I guess we may never have the answer to, but for me, nothing wrong with the fee. But again, it was the one summer sale that I think maybe Liverpool fans felt we could have hung on to him. Moving on now to Tyler Morton, to Lyon, 15 million, with, of course, a buyback and a sell-on clause in that deal as well. I think that's a good bit of business for everybody, and he's going down really, really well with the Lyon fan base. So I'm going to say well done on that one. Darwin Núñez, 46 million to Al Hilal. Where to go with this one, folks? I'm not going to talk about his form and his time here because, you know, everybody knows about that and you've already made your mind up one way or the other. But the fee, well, look, we took a hit, didn't we, on the deal that would have got to about 85 million. I think we'd committed about 72 million at that point. So it felt like whatever we could get for Darwin without being overly embarrassed was probably going to be a decent fee. So 46 million, I think that's happy enough. 40 to 50 was probably where my head was at, and we got there. Ben Doak, 25 million to Bournemouth. I think that's a good fee. Be interested to see how he develops there. I've always liked Ben Doak. Never understood why he was set not to really get a chance at Liverpool. But again, for 25 million. And last one, Harvey Elliott, on loan with an obligation to buy for 35 million. I think the fee I understand because, again, there's a sell-on clause and a buyback option in there. But, you know, he's a player we all liked. I understood it from his perspective to go and get more game time, of course, in a very difficult environment to get game time in at Liverpool with the competition for places. So I got it in that regard. But all in all, right, Liverpool spent over £400 million and brought in about 230, 240. So we had a net spend somewhere in and around 190 million. But did we get the job done? Unsure. Is it a good window? Absolutely. Giving it a grade? A. Definitely an A window. But have we done everything we wanted to do? Well, some people would still feel that Liverpool have some questions to be answered in attack because, of course, we haven't seen Chiesa this season get starting points. Will he be a real addition to the first team? Left out of the Champions League squad, of course, but will he get the minutes? Because this only works if Chiesa gets more minutes and, of course, if Rio Ngamoa gets more minutes. Because apart from that, we've 4 senior forwards. So we are expecting a lot from those guys and these two. So some people feel maybe still a little bit light there. For me, I think we're okay. I'm going to say yes to the forward line. In midfield, I guess the one question we would still have there is, do we have enough of a backup for the DM? Probably not. But is that something that's going to be addressed next season? I think so. We know that Ryan Gravenberch is brilliant, but we don't have much depth there if he is injured. Endo can play the role, but in a different way. Bajcetic is still developing, and other players that can do it are kind of being shoehorned in. So for me, that's probably the one area I would say that if I was to make one more signing for Liverpool, it would be in that position. So all in all, for me, it's been a brilliant summer transfer window. Looking forward to seeing these guys settle in over the course of the season. And I want to say again, well done to the recruitment team, because we've seen some other clubs go out there and make an absolute mess of this summer transfer and look like they hadn't got a plan. One thing we have to give credit to for the Reds, well, a lot we can give credit to, is the plan and the way they executed it. They got every player they wanted on that list, including Isak and Ekitike. Florian Wirtz was a real statement as well to show that Liverpool have arrived and can develop and bring in the top targets in world football. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say there's a massive thumbs up for this summer transfer window, but still a little bit left to do before I would say we are a complete squad. All in all, like I said, an A grade from me. Do let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And the good news is, if you're watching this on Sunday, we will be back tomorrow as normal. Thank you for staying with us as we took 3 days off. Just need to get a bit of a breather, obviously, after a very hectic August. And we'll see you tomorrow, where we're also recording episode number 4 of the Anfield Agenda podcast. So, ladies and gents, that's it for now. Don't forget, we have one more show coming up at the Hot Water Comedy Club. It is our last ever show. If you'd like to come and see us, you can get your tickets with the QR code there on the screen, priced at just £15. All the money we are donating to Joe's Wheelchair Basketball Fund. So if you are coming along, not only are you getting to see us for the last time, but you're also getting to contribute to a very good cause. It is an all-ages event and tickets are priced at just £15. My friends, I will see you tomorrow. Looking forward to reading your thoughts on this video. And again, thank you for your time. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.